Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're happy to have you back here for the grand finals of the NJCAA. It's going to be John Wood. The Blazers are back, and they want to do battle versus the Northern Virginia Nighthawks. Now, both of these teams had a great showing last week, winning their best of threes and looking fantastic while doing so. Our map one of today will be split. It was the Blazers' pick. Nova choosing the defensive side there, with both of the bands respectively being behind for the Blazers and Ascent for Nova. I am joined here by the one and only, the wonderful. You saw him last week, and if you were hoping to see him again, well, good luck to you. You got him. It's Trooper. How you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic, Tristan. It is a pleasure to be here on Championship Sunday to bring you guys more of this Valorant action. Between these two teams, the way that they went through this bracket, it is going to be an unstoppable force meeting in a movable object.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And that being said, we'll give you a quick read of the roster cards here. First off, we got your Nova squad. That's Ari Tinkuros, in game known as Ari. And on the other side of the board, we got Daniel Capodice. That's that guy Cap. Jared Liberian. That's Jawa in game. Joseph Crary. That's Baker. Kalat Bezadiah, and that's going to be Hokuriku, Tommy Ho, Tentum. That's going to be your full squad for Nova. And to give us the lineup on John Wood, let me toss it over to you, Trooper.
John Wood Blazers is going to be led by Jonathan Thomas under the tag Green. You guys know him so well. He was the lead fragger for John Wood yesterday, during the earlier portion of the bracket in this event. You have Connor Purtle as Fenrir. You have Dane Hemming as Reach, Wesley Cook as Twisterman 99, and Andrew Veal as Ovi Andy. And it is going to be a great crew today, as we saw them pretty much decimate their first two games and didn't have much of an effort that they had to really fight against towards the end. They were closing a lot of these second halves pretty well.
Absolutely. And one thing that I do want to note about both these teams, I'm interested to see what kind of picks they take into Split. Now, one funny thing to note about Split is the defensive side throughout all of the Challengers tournament, they seem to have the advantage. Whoever starts on defense for Split seems to have a higher win rate than most. And so it's interesting to see that although it was the pick of the Blazers, it's actually Nova on defense for that first side. And so they have an opportunity here. If history tells us a story, it's that the defensive side of Split first half may just run away with the game.
It's always something that people have to really kind of put in the front of their head, where regardless of the outcome of the first half of a Split game, you got to realize how much more of an advantage that the defenders always have. Split has been notorious for that against attackers, and if you're able to really build at least a few wins on the attacking side in a row, it's always a sight to see, and kind of builds you guys with that confidence that once we flip sides and get on the defender side, it's going to be a lot easier to handle things. So you kind of do have that seesaw battle in the beginning, and it's going to be so important trying to get through those initial walls of defense.
Absolutely. And as I say that, all the players are ready. We'll be loading into Split in just a moment here. But one thing to know is I think really it takes a strong in-game leader to be able to bring you through that first half of Split, because you know you're going to be taking a pounding. You know you may not be able to string as many rounds together as you please or as you were hoping for. But at the same time, if you're able to get that mental reset, feel that confidence heading into the second half, knowing that you'll have that advantage, as long as your mental isn't tarnished, then you should be able to mount a formidable defense and bring yourself back into the game. That being said, we already have some early hovers here for the Agent Select. That's Reach already kind of giving us a little bit of looks towards the Rays here. I would always like to see Raises come out. Yoru also being quickly pivoted off of, as you're not exactly a lot of places in the current meta that you can bring him out. That guy Cap decided to go with the Viper.
I'm curious how these compositions are going to play into comparing what they chose earlier on throughout this event. Are they going to really stick to their guns? Are they going to maybe try and adjust things to how their opponents usually play? It's going to be one of those questions that are about to be answered momentarily, as we are waiting to see on the last moments who they lock in. I think, though, that for this map, obviously those controllers do play such a big part because of how tight a lot of these choke points are when trying to get on some of these sites. And if you're able to maintain positioning and control of that middle section of the map, and you're going to be able to cut off these rotations so much more easily and kind of just completely just shut your opponent down before they can get anything going. So split is going to be, I think, really the test of the mental fortitude for these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I say that, loading on to split, we see all the picks come out. Duel versus the Phoenixes. Two Phoenixes. No surprise there. A map like Split, the run it back is invaluable to be able to entry onto the site, because usually it is that front runner that has to create the space for the team, can get hit with an off angle. But once you establish where the players are, once you get that information, it becomes a lot easier to handle. And that being said, 20 seconds before we're underway, give me your prediction here, Trooper. I mean, I guess you could already see the teams lining up towards A, and so I'm assuming we're going to see a quick hit here. Twisterman already on the iPad, playing a little bit of Flappy Bird before they can actually get out onto the site.
Feeling confident if that's what he's doing at the moment. They're seconds away from storming ahead and already going to be trying to formulate a push onto A to start off. Smokes are coming in, and they're going to be quick about this one. But as quick as they come in, Okoroku getting the opening shot with the frenzy, creating a mess of a problem over here for their opponents. Still maintaining positioning on the site, and with them dropping like flies with only the Sage left, it is going to be an easy first round, I'd say.
The Nighthawks, wow, showing a lot of prowess there in their aim duels, confidence as well. If there's any a pistol you want to shut down a push, the frenzy on players that are running W keying straight at you, that's always a wonderful sight to see. He mows them down with ease. Let's get a lawnmower in his hands. As I say that, he's looking to cut the grass a little bit more. Airy with a few shots of his own, forces out the heal from Andy, who then tucks back towards Sewers, but he is trapped in right now. That guy Cap already moving forward with his knife, a little bit of riskiness there, as we see Andy just trying to play around with the smoke, but already if he drops here, the man is dead to rights. That guy Cap waiting for him, pulls the pistol, body shots galore, and that will be a finalization to the first round over to the Nighthawks, and they don't lose a single member doing it.
Trying to delay the inevitable there, but not much left to do, as they did kind of pivot down and sandwich on top of that Sewers area. And I mean, the Sage definitely playing as Spike, going to be the right call. You want to play that more conservative role so you can get those heals involved whenever that time is going to be apparent. And it's going to be really important with how Raze is on both sides, also with both teams having that Sage. You do know the splash damage from a lot of her kit is quite the annoyance for people. So when you're trying to get through these tight corridors, you're going to need somebody to kind of back you up there, as everybody is starting to separate here with just the Cypher kind of baiting towards middle. It looks like that they were baiting A to begin with, it seems, themselves. So the rotation's coming now towards mid. Let's see how they decide to play this one.
And they think better of going through that smoke A. Good on them, as they would have potentially lined up for another highlight play for Hoku Riku. He's gotten so many of those for himself so far in this tournament. And now back towards mid. Do they decide to wait out this wall? Do they actually make the noise? Let Tentum know that they're coming through, that they're rolling past. Instead, they'll wait it out. Tentum has no vision, no information these players could be here, but the paint shells will at least delay this for a little bit longer. With 45 seconds left on the clock, they have to start taking some space for themselves.
They're actually going to be doubling themselves back, walking right into Korku, who's got an entire mass of team in front of him. He actually wasn't able to get anybody taken out. It would have been a nice help, but instead only creating a little bit of damage here. You have Jawa sending in the smokes, trying to at least confuse him a little bit as the rest of his team comes back onto the site for this crash. They're able to get a couple trades back and forth here, but the plant is going to be coming in, but it gets stopped just before it gets put down by that guy Cap. And I think that is going to end this round with only seconds remaining. Nobody on that spike. That is going to be it.
Honestly, you'll take that. You'll take that if you're the Blazers.
Absolutely.
That is a lot of economic damage. 3 players is more than you can hope for. Nearly a bomb plant as well. If they were able to get that one down, then it would be a resounding victory in the long term. Despite them dropping the round either way, they've done their jobs. And going into this round, they can get a whole lot of rifles in their hands and potentially break the economy after they have to rebuy all these Spectres, all this armor on the side of the Hawks.
See where they decide to push here. It looks like flipping around onto B, but also just keeping themselves flexible towards the middle. The Sage Wall coming in, but getting dropped immediately. They do throw up the Viper Wall as a backup here. More people spread across. I think one of the most interesting differences between these two compositions is really who's going to be the site, the main site holder. Is there going to be anybody on your team that can play that solo site and kind of give your team that information? Cypher is obviously that front runner, but then Viper as well has been buffed as most recently, and really been kind of a strengthful position for that as well in this meta. So I like to see how this is going to really make a difference here. With you can see the Viper Wall already up. That guy Cap is looking right down Main Street, ready to take control here. And there comes in the Blaze Wall to try and open it up, but he is in the corner, and he is just catching them completely off guard and absolutely wrecking them. Say hello to my little friend, and crushing 3 in a row as they push onto the site.
Little friend, not so little anymore. That is a big boy, and he is piling shots down range. Still 2 players left across the map, and so rotating back isn't even an option for poor Reach here. If he goes into the rope room, Jawa could fill his face full of holes. Instead, he'll get the better of that trade, but now he's got test number 2, and this time not ready for it. Hoko Riku already waiting towards the ropes, and he's got an easy shot lined up for himself. 3 rounds for the Hawks so far, and Blazers yet to really find much counterplay, especially after they run into that absolute meat grinder known as that guy Cap with his Omen ready.
Round is going to be very important. The way that economy has been going in the so far in this game, I think that now this is one of those rounds where if they can pick up a couple of frags if possible, just to get that firepower, and then potentially rotate. But right now, as they do keep that same idea as they run in a mass group right in the center of the map, they are getting slowed. Every bit of utility now coming into play here in the center portion, and leaving it up for debate if they're going to make the push. But I think that right now you can see as they creep up, they are just waiting for the right moment. You can see the more utility, the Boombot coming in. Green also helping now with the flashes as they make that push through into heaven. You have Sage now caught in the corner, but the Viper Wall actually saves her. And then she comes out, but for a moment, more trades coming back in. And it looks like that right there, Blazers were able to come out on top as they move slowly onto the site with just barely any HP remaining with these 2 players left, but Green is still able to cap. Hokoriku coming around the flank with that guy Cap onto the site and shutting down any attempt for them to make a play here. That Odin has just been doing wonders so far.
Yeah, and that guy Cap just lurking on the site for so long, they don't expect him. After all that time they spent working up mid, after all that time they spent clearing out the sites, they did not think that that guy Cap would still be waiting around, but he's the B player. You should at least expect that, have somewhat of a premonition that he could still be lurking around the pillar, and he just makes himself known, cleans up 2 low HP targets without even a drop of sweat being leaked off his forward. And as I say that guy Cap looking to get aggressive himself, throws out a bit of spam, but he's already gotten tagged up by the Cypher Cam, forced to evacuate the position. Give him a little bit more room to work with as we see the Roomba shot out immediately, much like the wall, not allowing them that utility to feel comfortable around mid. And I like this approach. You can still pivot out, you can still rotate towards A or one of the sites, but at the same time, you have to keep this committal towards mid. Make sure they can't just rotate and stack a site willy-nilly.
They do have that advantage here, but the cross coming in, if they make a play, with Omen at the ropes, does send the smoke through, as he is still maintaining his spot on A with the Phoenix. But those strength and numbers are going to be here in heaven if they can make the push right now. The run it back going to be coming in and just throwing himself out there to get a little bit more information and hopefully pick up a frag. Not able to do, but as he got that information, seeing only the Sage up there, that gave him the confidence to push through and gain a little bit more ground. But again, that guy Cap is being annoying as ever, hiding in an angle they would not suspect, getting that 1 kill down. but only 1 kill, and it's going to keep things even here 4v4 as they continue on for the retake. Let's see how they're going to play this one with Blazers finally getting that spike down for the first time in this match. You do have another run it back coming in from the opposing side. That is the Blazers, who are going to be having to hold it down for a little bit extra longer, and only 1 player to go. They do have the big advantage here. Let's see if they shut it down, and they do, finally getting themselves on the board.
The Blazers making a strong case for themselves, showing why you can't ever count them out. This is attacker side. After all, it's a CT-sided map. You can have your first few rounds, but eventually we'll start putting some on the board, and for every round you lose on the defensive side, that'll give us that much more room for error when we get to take the reins. That being said, Green leading the charge for his team, using that run it back up into heaven. It gets stuffed by Tentum, who, by the way, Tentum in this heaven position is so impressive. The way he's able to play aggressive, isn't scared off by the run it back, holds his ground, and immediately takes down the Phoenix without having to give up too much space. He'll retreat eventually, but although they lose the round, I will say, impressive play from Tentum all around as he pulls out the Judge this time. He's working with Airy, and if they walk into this corner without some kind of utility setting them up, this could be disaster. Instead, they'll use a bit of a different angle with the wall, give up the rope room, allow them to have that. But instead, it is going to be much more difficult to run that B heaven split.
See who makes that next move here. Everyone just trying to play it a little bit safe. A little bit slower than they probably hoping for here. They did want to try and retaliate, but the Blazers are still taking it slow after getting on the board. Green looking to make a big play onto the site, but he gets caught off guard by Jawa, who completely takes the shot while blinded and is able to take out the Phoenix. That is going to be a huge advantage for them, as they now have to run themselves back all the way around to B. They got to make an attempt to plant that spike. They do make it happen with Reach shooting the showstopper up into heaven and not able to connect. So that is very unfortunate and going to give them a little bit more of a chance to maybe push onto the site and hopefully stop them with the high ground position here.
Yeah, and 4v4 now. Cypher camera being utilized just to make sure the flank can't be hit up here. All the players stacking towards heaven. They're going to try and burst out. They're going to get a glimpse of this. Andy knows they've dropped towards hell. So all the players are going to be able to set up their own crossfires, but it comes down to the aim duels eventually. Hokuriku good for 1. The Molly lined up just to delay them that much further. Tentum able to chime up with one of his own. Out goes the Molly. It was going to force them off the bomb out into the open. Twisterman gets 1 with his Molly, and he may have just stalled out enough time to pull this round through. He's hiding. He's just buying time. Jawa can't hit him. He's going to try and teleport himself out of there, but the bomb is too quick. He'll get taken down with it, and Twisterman stands alone.
Twisterman doing great work with the Molly placement, just like we saw earlier on in this tournament back on Friday. He had similar style of play where he was being as conservative as possible and holding on for the retakes to use those Mollies at the right moment to prevent any sense of a defuse. It was just a perfectly timed move right there for them to get another round. Back-to-back rounds on split. Like we were talking about earlier, Tristan, it really is a huge boost because it's not something that happens too often where people are going to get that huge advantage with how big that the defenders really have on this map.
Yeah, and 2 rounds is already more than a lot of teams were able to muster.
Especially so early on.
Yeah, especially so early on. Even last week, we saw teams just getting demolished on one half a split as Green. He's going to take a quick turn, has his head on a swivel, doesn't get hit up by the blind, not just yet. In fact, he returns with 1 blind of his own. Hokuriku also quick to dodge out there. And these Phoenixes are just dancing. They're playing a dangerous game as 3 members committed towards this A site. They only have pistols in hand, so their weaponry limited. Has to come down to some insane shots. Hokuriku will be put to the test here. So you see 1 player rounding the corner. He'll get a shot to the back. Got a second one lined up for himself, and he will make good on it. Already 2 down, and this could turn into disaster. He's able to recover the rifle as well. Does have the hot hands to heal himself up behind the side, and he just stands out into the open. Another head being taken off the shoulders, and this is slowly starting to fall apart. The Blazers had a great and confident push because they had that advantage in the economy, but it's all starting to go awry for them as Hokuriku is just mounting a fantastic defense. Now they have control of Heaven. They can try and split up the angles. And maybe this is their avenue in onto the site, but Airy, this time it is not meant to be. Hokuriku gets a 4K for himself, and that's going to close out the round. The Blazers, as soon as they get the momentum going, the Nighthawks snuff it out.
Perfect response after those back-to-back rounds. They were able to get a few frags when they pushed onto the site and immediately used those weapons to their advantage, and it worked out perfectly. Great way for them to take a ding to their opponent's economy and also get that momentum back into their favor here. Looks like that B is going to be the push that they are going to be trying to favor. Everybody split most likely across, but as they do check for information, one of those smokes do go out towards A, but completely unneeded as everybody is going to be trying to make their way through garage. At least for right now, they are trying to stay flexible, and it looks like that potentially the mid play might be also an idea for them as they're trying to bait a few more of these players to use up as many of their utilities as they can.
Gonna smoke off rope room, try and make a mid-split real quick here. Using that run it back, already getting tagged up by Tentum, who once again is not giving him an inch to work with. Now that he's gotten flash, he gets himself to safety, 20 HP left on the run it back, and not a lot of time either. They'll get that extra space to work with and some breathing room, but that's about it. With that reach, just guarding the rope rooms. Maybe they decide to pivot back towards A. It is a possibility, but there are plenty of players watching. They haven't bid on the fake just yet. The rotations haven't come through, and Jawa could get a few lined up for himself. Has the first, but traded out by Twisterman nearly immediately. And now that they have that resurrection, this should be free access to the site, or is it? Because the man who has been such a thorn in the side of the Blazers is still here, and he is ready to go already with two. He is passing with flying colors. A third one goes onto the site, but Green this time able to put him to rest. And now post plant set up. There are still 3 on the board for both teams. Tentum looking for a resurrection for himself.
Your duty is not over.
Jawa gets to receive it. Now onto the site they go. That guy Cap just sneaking through his own poison cloud. And all 3 of the opposing members are funneled. They're hiding behind the pillar, but they are huddled together. And this could be room for just a spring into action as Fenrir. He flips around. The last player establishes where he is. Tentum falling from the skies. All from heaven. He's an angel. And he brings the 6th round to the Nighthawks in the most clutch way he possibly could.
The conservative plays are always going to work when you're that Sage. Coming in at the right time, getting a res for your squad, give them another number to go and make that push. It's always something that if you're not keeping track of, it's going to really confuse your squad when you assume things and how many people are going to be potentially trying to combat that site. Sage coming in just at the final moments there as well and getting the defuse as the last person standing. So just as we did have a couple of rounds going toward the Blazers, Nighthawks are now back in control.
Ooh, early meteor strike. Tentum going to take a fair bit of damage. Running for his life. Area the paint shells though. 2 killed. How did that happen? They walked across the minefield and they end up paying for it with an arm and a leg. Twisterman, he's waiting around the corner up close. Airy gets too aggressive for his own good. He even doubles up with a nice little snap. Flick of the wrist. Tentum taken down off of the round as well. And so now the numbers evened up at 3 apiece.
That was a great idea from Airy. After they dropped down the Brimstone ult, immediately throwing the paint shells through it, assuming that they were just going to make the push anyway, and he was right. Getting also a triple kill with that guy Cap to complement it nicely and wrap up this round for another one in their favor.
I cannot believe he adjusted the crosshairs that quickly and that beautifully. All 3 players try to make the moves onto him. He swings out at the right times. He hits every shot he needs to, and it's another defense added to the tally of that guy Cap, who can do no wrong on this B site so far. I mean, the man has just put an end to so many of the Blazers' hopes.
Shutting it down perfectly, using a lot of the Odin earlier, and now getting on top of his straight shots here, winning a lot of these engagements when he needs to. It's definitely very highly important, but I like this bait that they have.
Oh,
a lot of people were pushing A with the bomb is all the way over on B. So this is a very sizable bait. I'm really interested. I like how this play is going right now, and I want to see how this plays out here. But it looks like that as they do wait it out, Sage going to be rotating back towards the middle as they do open the door for them to come back and get that free site take. Let's see if they're going to be getting the plant. They don't. They second guess it, and it looks like that they're going to be in a 2-on-1 scenario if the Cypher stays there. Tentom was the savior last time. Can Tentom shut it down yet again?
Tentom now has a bit of backup. NJCAA can use the Viper's Pit. They have to push into him now. Suddenly, this is getting a lot harder for the side of the Blazers. But that opening kill will provide them a lot more room to work with through the smoke. NJCAA trying to get some spam in, but it's all the worst timings possible for himself. Neurotheft will also establish where the last two members are. This should be an easy closeout from here on out, but the Paytails will tag down Andy just a fair bit. Jawa around the corner. He is playing a game of inches right now. He'll find the second headshot, and it's all up to Twisterman, who does have the molly available and an advanced spot. They shouldn't see this one coming, but he can't line up the shots, and Airy flips back around for the 3K, and what a miraculous retake for the Nighthawks.
Jawa played that so well. That was going to be a beautifully executed bait and switch. They were planting it at B when they did send most of their guys to A, but Jawa coming in and completely destroying the plans. It's so hard to plan against anything when there's going to be a guy in a one-man wrecking crew just like that. He just falling out of heaven and getting all of the shots perfectly and staying steady while they were able to at least get those final seconds down to the wire. So right here, as they do have a sizable advantage as we're closer to that halfway point, one more round, if possible, would be very optimal for the Blazers to give them the advantage here going into the next half. But Reach going to be firing the showstopper up into heaven, not connecting the run it back. Also coming into play as they are now going to make the chance that they need to do right here onto the site, but Hakoriku is going to shut them down again with that beautiful angle in the back corner. And again, he has been dominating in this position so well this map, and again, he does the same thing, just making it look easy out there.
My man must be playing on some crazy sensitivity, because these flicks that he is hitting for himself, they are absolutely insane. Green now 12 kills, Hokuriku at 13. Both these Phoenixes looking fantastic so far this match, and at 9-2, I mean, there are so many of these clutches that come down to the wire that have just been falling the way of the Nighthawks, and John Green has to feel bad about these rounds. This is their map pick, and like I said before, when you have the defensive side coming first, you have to make sure that even if you fall behind in the round score, you don't let that mental get tarnished. You can still come back. This is a heavily defensive sided map, and so you have to just try and put together whatever rounds you possibly can on the first half. As we come into this last round, it would be very nice to have 3. It is much better than 2, and it feels a lot better. Airy will be the man on the front lines, the first one that takes the duel. It's going to be him versus Green. If the trend continues, throws the Roomba over the wall just to establish there are plenty of players waiting on the other side of it.
Thinking about that push through the mid, but now baiting with the utility. All of them nearly running back around through garage to B, but Viper is going to be in that corner, waiting patiently on the other side of that wall.
Oh, that guy
sneaking through. It's going to be easy pickings if they don't check that corner again. It has failed them once before, so let's see if they've learned from their mistakes. They definitely do. There come in the paint shells to clear her out. And now with that guy Cap going to be, again, though, still maintaining that spot, getting the first one on the angle. He is going to get an angle on the bomb carrier, but not getting the kill in time. Fenrir, though, getting a double on the site to move everybody through. Getting a third. How is he doing this with the weapon that he's got in his hand? He is still a man possessed, picking up a new weapon, though. Andy getting Reach back into the fight, though, so you cannot count them out. It's going to be even harder now with just these 2 remaining players. Jawa has been so aggressive, though, and it's been working out well. Let's see how he does already with the bomb in front of him. 4 players as well right there in tow, and he just cannot overcome the swarm, and they outlast with another round in the books, with Fenrir getting all 5, dominating the site. Looking good while he does it.
The Bulldog Bastion, the Bulldog Buccaneer, Fenrir just shows out with minimal weaponry. 2,100 credits is all he needs in his bank account, because he gets the ace with just headshots galore. I mean, it is so difficult to do that with the more difficult to control spray of the Bulldog as well. And now with them being posted up on the defensive side, they call upon Fenrir here because there is a lot of players already leaning towards the B site. He will have a single member helping him out up in heaven. But that's about it. These traps are going to have to make good on, and he does have a frenzy, and so maybe if he gets into a close quarters combat situation, he can try and use the chaos to his advantage. But he does have that camera working in his favor. He's going to see them long before they actually get onto the site. As we see Jawa already putting a smoke up towards heaven. There's a smoke screen going out for the Viper as well. Can't move through that unless you want to be dropped to 50 HP. He's thinking about it though. And with the spam ringing out, he is listening every step of the way. He wants these sound cues to provide him that extra bit of knowledge. Wall goes out as well, and so they're going to section off this site. Fenrir, oh, so close to taking some spam through the smoke. Instead, it's Airy just waiting for it to go down. He'll get the initial headshot, but it's traded out by Reach. Both the Killjoys, or both the Raises with the kill apiece, as Green just starts to knife away at this wall, chop it down to give them some more access points into the site. One player waiting around the corner, the Roomba blowing up, and back goes the toxic screen. That's the curveball through, going to blind up a single player, send him back packing. But I mean, they have to just get through this Viper screen. It's so difficult. The first headshot, good for Green. He's looking for a second, and they all crumble under the pressure. That's a defuse in their near future as well, as we see the Blazers get off to a great start to their second half.
Nighthawks looked well in control for a moment there, but they got overwhelmed with the utilities, especially right where the spike was planted. And they even had a great advantage backing the Viper up into the garage, getting that long angle. And Green walks in, keeping his head completely on a swivel, getting both kills left to right. Check both ways before crossing the street is always a smart idea. This man just killing it. And it just goes to show it's no surprise that he is leading the team in frags, because earlier in the tournament on Split, he's leading the squad as well. 20 frags on the last time they played. Let's see if he's able to break that record again. Twisterman not able to pick up that double kill on the site, but still getting a trade-off. Another set of trade-offs coming in here. But you have the Nighthawks in a difficult spot with Sage dropping, and now just Raze with half health remaining. It is going to be really hard to make this thing happen with the spike down, and then just out in no man's land here. Able to get a kill with the Spectre, but Reach, the opposing Raze, is able to shut things down before they can even really get them started.
Yeah, and I mean, just a solid play all around. Working against the Pistols, they do lose a few more Spectres than they would like to, though, as we see Airy onto the side. They did not respect those smokes whatsoever. They just plow through them, and Twisterman was still on his iPad by the time they were fully onto the site. Had to try and just hit the shots with some quick accuracy, but Airy just one step ahead of him that time around, and now he's got to work with a Stinger versus several Vandals and a single Phantom. Either way, he is at a large disadvantage. We see the wall early again towards mid. We're starting to see most teams favor this this pressure early on just to make sure that the wall can't get set up fully. 3 players committed towards heaven. That's a lot of people. They do not want to let them onto the B site, and they know that's the easiest way to do it. But Twister, man, I love this play. He's already at such a nice spot for himself. No way they check this. Am I right? Right?
Yeah, no,
oh, the discipline from Airy, but he misses the gun barrel. Oh, he could spring out and have them all lined up. He's got one, he's got two. No! He can't actually hit the second as the spray goes somewhere over the moon, and I don't know how that didn't connect. But I mean, Sage gets to live. She does lose her armor and her heal. It's a fairly long cooldown, but either way, you have to feel so frustrated if you're Twisterman there. I feel frustrated for the guy as Reach. He gets aggressive onto the site, won't be able to line up any shots just yet, but Hokariko around the corner. He is quick with the trigger, and he's quick with the aim. Finds the headshot to make this a 2v4 in the favor of the Nighthawks, and this is what they needed. 10-5 is a fantastic scoreline to be sitting on, especially when your enemy team is one round after this from having a completely broken economy. May actually already be closer to that than you realize, considering how many members they lost in that second round. And so maybe save is the call here. Maybe Andy decides to just walk himself out. I would not mind it one bit, especially considering the weaponry he's got. This would be decent enough to bring to the next round. Has a kill for himself, wants to pull the rifle, but this may be just a bit too greedy. He may be asking for too much here, as there's 2 players already ready for him. Airy will be the one to secure that one and end the round with a nice little frag for himself. Gets the heal as well. Unnecessary, but hey, feels good regardless. 10-5 is the scoreline, and the Nighthawks pushing into that territory. that really makes it feel a lot more unwinnable for the defending side.
That was a very close call. You do have Twisterman in such a perfect spot to get an amazingly picture perfect flank, but right, just looking away at just the wrong moment to miss that first gun barrel, potentially throwing off when he decided to peek, and then getting caught through the wall by Airy, who is also leading the squad, doing very well across the board here. With everybody holding down positions, everybody spread mostly between A and B here, rather than favoring one specific site as of yet. We do have, it looks like, them poking a little bit towards A. Everybody still holding down in middle on the side of Blazers, just trying to waste a little bit of time, trying to get their opponents to maybe overthink this situation here. With the utility being so important, you definitely want to just disrupt as much as you can before making that play, and you do come in here with Fenrir getting the Cypher Cage beautifully planted halfway up the wall. That way he just shoots down at the feet, getting them taken out, and they did not want any parts of that, with the remaining player rotating now back with the rest of the team in the midsection of this map. Let's see where they decide to go. Looks like Sewers is going to be the play here.
And Ari was able to take him out through the box with a nicely placed headshot. Couldn't get the heal from Heaven in time. And so with that, 4v4, the numbers are still evened up. That guy Cap still spraying through the wall, afraid that they may have double stacked the area. No one there just yet, though, as we see the bomb actually walking onto the A side. They don't have anyone watching it, though. They're too split up, and they're too worried about possible hits that they don't actually see right under their nose. The bomb being planted. 14 seconds left in the round. Jawa able to get one, but he should be traded out here by Twisterman, who doesn't have his pre-aim quite in the right position. 5 HP left on Jawa, who has to go the long way around. He better hope that his teammates can hold out in time, as we see the showstopper getting one. Reach has his back turned. That guy Cap executes him with a shot to the back of the head, and now it's Andy left alone in a 1v3. One player on very low HP, but this is just a Sage. There's only so much you can do, and your utility not going to help you in the slightest, especially when you've used it all on the defense so far. It may just be another save call here, but it feels so difficult to save when it's going to be 11 rounds for the Nighthawks on your map pick.
And you know Jawa is going to be happy to get out of this round with his life with only 5 HP and holding onto that Vandal. That is going to be a big difference maker, as well as they're looking to get another round in their favor, and they do. It is going to be huge now for them on the attacking side, as they're just a few, actually make that exactly 2 rounds away from trying to ending this map and getting that first round, or that first one, in their favor. So towards the series being best of 3, that'll be a huge blow to John Wood Blazers coming into this game.
Yeah, and 11, that's such an important number, because, I mean, you're one off of match point. The pressure is on right now. The pressure is beating down on the Blazers, despite this being their map pick. I mean, you obviously want to make a statement when you get to choose what you play. And that being said, this one's not looking so good for them. Green taking the slightest of angles, the most narrow of margins. Hokuriku decides not to shoot the wall out immediately, afraid that there could be a player waiting on top of it as soon as they hear those gunshots sound off. He could get swung, and so rather he plays it conservatively, waits for more teammates to arrive before they start spraying that one through. Andy, oh, the rat position. Do they check him? It's going to be difficult, considering how thick this wall is, unless they decide to take it all down or wait it out. Dakai Cap going to be trying to tag up Green. Oh, that was close. May have seen the elbow. Just enough of it sticking through the wall to take a few shots. But around the corner, the curveball ready and going out. Green going to tag up a few for himself. Trade back a bit of damage as we see Airy finding the first kill of the round onto the opposing Rays. But Twisterman, he's huddled onto the site. Do they realize he's here? A few shots ring out. They should know now. Now the player waiting towards Heaven. He is pincer maneuvering from all different sides. His only option was to fight his way out of it, and he simply can't make it happen. Jawa now dropping that back down into hell. He'll be covered by the Rays wall. And Green just trying to get some space back. But it's not going to be easy. He's already out of curveballs. How's he going to get back onto the site? As all the players just trying to work slowly through Heaven. But Andy, he's going to be met with a headshot and a face full of lead. Only 2 left standing between the Blazers and a 12th round. A possible loss on their map pick. It's Green. Oh, off angle. Not going to work out for him. This bomb ticking low. They just simply don't have enough time. They're going to call it off. Oh, but
Yeah,
not
Green-
before Airy gives him a parting gift.
Green about to try and make some sort of play on ramp, but as he hopped up onto the box, footsteps giving him away, and NJCAAE flushing him out, making him run away to hopefully just hold on to at least some of the economy here, as they have nearly an insurmountable comeback ahead of them. But on the defensive side, it is the most favorable thing you can ask for, although the last 3 rounds going against them here on the attacking side, they have been working this very, very nicely here. The Nighthawks have been fully adapting beautifully well to a lot of the strategies that Blazers have been pulling out. And I like a lot of how they were able to adapt to different baits and setups that they have of that nature, and also being pretty conservative with their utilities until the moment is really set in. So when we look ahead here to this round that could potentially be our last, if Nighthawks walk away with a W here, let's see how Blazers decide to look down at this one. You have Raze's bot coming in onto the site to try and clear and get any information that they can get before they make the move. And I think they are going to get the all clear and make that move. But instead, they hesitate just a tad here, as you do have Fenrir onto the site with Phoenix as well. They are just a hair away from making contact here, thinking about flashing, but they are not even in position for it, so it would be a waste. They are still being very, very patient here before they make their move.
I love the patience. I love it. They're able to draw out all that Cypher utility, and now Cypher feels so naked on that B side. He doesn't have any of the defensive tools anymore, and that's why they have 2 members committed there. As they start to rotate off, though, the hit might just come back to bite them. Switcherman waiting around the corner. He's not good for one because Airy, that is an insane flick. Inhuman reactions. A little bit of Hiko callbacks there as he flips himself around to get the opening pick and get that site secured for his teammates. Green around the corner will use the curveball. That's going to signal Fenrir. That's going to signal Jawa to turn himself back around. Green has been found out, and now a 3v5 on the site. Looks like the Nighthawks want to close this one out early. Andy, he's going to try and walk himself up, but Jawa is 1 step ahead yet again. He's going to find reach as well, give that alert to his teammates, but Hokuriku, he gets an immediate headshot for himself and taken down. This is going to make the numbers 3-2, but the defenders still down a man, and this is difficult as ever, because yes, they were able to get those first 2 kills, but how much space did they get off of that? Yeah, they get back into heaven. That's about it. This poison cloud blocking them off. They have so many things obstructing their vision and reach. On the other side of this, Airy could put a stop to it right here with the headshot. They pass by each other at kind of an awkward timing. He's going to try and hit him in the air. The showstopper gets one. Fenrir wants to get onto the ball, but it's already so far gone. That guy Cap kills him. He'll even get the second. Not necessary, because that bomb was blowing up. Either way, it's the Nighthawks taking game 1, taking map 1. In a very impressive performance up against the #1 seed in the tournament, John Wood.
Excellent showing right there from the Northern Virginia Nighthawks, as they really, I mean, everything that they decided to kind of put forward, it worked out very well in their favor. You had everybody pulling their weight in such a formidable way. And also, you have to really give a shout out to, I mean, NJCAAE, the way that he played in that first half with the Odin, and kind of just destroying any of those pushes single-handedly that went, it's going to kind of rattle you a little bit. And when you have also the confidence flipping sides, you're back on attack now, and instead of trying to play it patient on certain rounds, you kind of just storm through the smoke and then immediately want to get onto the site and just be quick about it. And then other rounds, as we just saw, on match point, they were being very slow, very methodical. They knew the ball was in their court. They knew that all they had to do was wait for their opponents to make a mistake, and it was a great, great victory right there by the Nighthawks.
Yeah, that's kind of the risk you run when you pick this split early on, when you pick it and you let your opponents get that defensive side. If they get too far ahead, it can really start to affect you despite having all that preparation done for the map and feeling confident going into it. When you lose that many rounds in a row, it just kind of gives you that extra pressure, and you lose out on a bit of that confidence. And confidence is so important in Valorant. If you hesitate, if you second guess yourself, that could cost you rounds. And that seems to be what happened there. That being said, though, we're going to cut to a quick break here. Don't go anywhere. Don't you dare click on a hot tub stream in the meanwhile, because we will be right back with some more Grand Championship action. It's John Wood Blazers versus the Nighthawks. Game 2 coming up right after this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here heading into game two for John Wood Blazers versus the Northern Virginia Nighthawks. Now, that game one was a doozy, and it ended up in quite the unexpected result as John Wood, their own map pick, they get taken down 13-5. The Nighthawks came here to play today. Joining me yet again is the wonderful Trooper. Trooper, happy to have you back. And what do you think about this next map? We're going into Icebox.
I'm excited because it's not a game personally or a map that I cast too often. A lot of teams, if they can, that's sometimes the first band pick that you might see it. But we're getting to see it right here in the championship of all places. And I think whoever had an easier time on that last map, I'd say on attack especially, I think they're going to have an even easier time on this map just based on how much tighter specifically one of the sites is in comparison. So let's see how this ends up kind of comparing, especially as we look at the compositions that are going to come into play here.
And I like it. John Wood, they lose on their own map pick, and so loser does get to pick the map in this tournament format. And so instead, they'll just throw the curveball out there. I mean, who would expect to play on Icebox? It is so often banned. So many teams like to just avoid it altogether that you don't get a lot of practice on this map in tournaments. Maybe you have a few strats lined up, but it's a lot different when it comes into practice, into an actual game. So John Wood decided to just throw the gauntlet down here, and in the grand final, this is the perfect time to do it. They don't have time to study you. They don't have time to prepare. It is time to just show what you got and to take your strategies to the next level. Airy looking to pivot towards that Raze yet again, and Raze on this map, there's a lot of useful things you can do with the boost, especially, I mean, A site, there are several ways that you can boost yourself up onto the platforms. B site, Nest is a great thing to, you can get on top of Yellow, you can get on top of both of the crates up at B main. I mean, there's just a lot of different uses for this for these blast packs and for these boosts on Jawa, and so I'm expecting to see them take a lot of different funny angles that are hard to deal with.
Looking at these compositions here, pretty similar on the side of Nighthawks, but now on the attacking side here for the Blazers, we're going to get a look here at a few different agents that are going to be exciting to watch, especially with Killjoy. Now, also on the Blazers side, this is going to be very important, especially when holding down the A site, especially on those solo takes for sure. Reyna as well, everybody knows, can be a huge dominating force and can really just stack and build a ton of momentum, really just making those flashy plays if you are careful and know exactly when to execute perfectly. That will be a nice compliment to the rest of their team. Also, the Sova being a change up here. Another great addition as well, as you can already see switching to Reach. This is the best tool you can imagine for this tight spots on the A site. Immediately get a recon bolt in there and decide where you're going to make your move.
Yeah, I do like having that Sova on the A takes because you're able to see any players playing towards the rafters. Already Airy gets a glimpse of the enemy team, immediately backs off. That is not a favorable angle, especially when you're peeking into multiple players. Instead, Baker also decides to jiggle for himself, but that was dangerous. He could have ended up getting his head taken off his shoulders as Green also just trading a few shots in and out. All the players on this map right now not really willing to commit to an all-out engagement, but they just want to try kind of fish around, hopefully catch someone getting a little too confident with themselves. And back out of A they go. Jawa throwing out a bit of spam for himself before rotating back. It's Green on the front lines, and he's got the Viper to deal with. But that's about it. That guy Cap is kind of alone here, and he should hear the footsteps now, but they're already on top of his head, and he turns away at the wrong time. Green gets the initial headshot, and with that overheal, suddenly this Reyna becomes so much more difficult to kill.
Exactly what we were expecting from Green, of all people, to be on that Reyna, being so difficult in these engagements and leading the team a lot of the time in frags alone. So playing on the Reyna is going to be a perfect way for them to keep building upon what they have already started, but they have to really claw their way back here, losing that first map. Let's see how they can really respond here on this first engagement now of map 2 with all of the numbers coming down onto the B site. It is barely going to be enough, but with the last 2 players were standing, yeah, that's what I was expecting it to be, really a bigger difference there, but you do have a nice play there for the Nighthawks to come in there and get that first round under their belt.
The The Molly ends up landing in the middle of nowhere. I think the lineup didn't quite work out as Twister Man intended there. He just kind of yeets it towards the sky, goes down, and then the Molly lands after the bomb is already defused and the round is over. And so perhaps this is just showing that the players haven't gotten to play on Icebox all that much. While you see on maps like Split last time around, 2 days ago, we saw him in the semifinals lining up some tricky little Mollies onto the A site. And he seems to have plenty of lineups memorized, but because he hasn't gotten to play on Split too much, I mean, the map is just so often banned out, he didn't actually have the chance to get that Molly lineup down, and it just whiffs. And so with that, they end up dropping the first round. They're going to try and make their way back onto the A site, this time looking like they're showing a little bit more conviction in their commitment here. Ari hopping on top of the headshot box, not getting any glimpses of players just yet. That is until Reach puts himself out into the open. They trade off a few pot shots, but no one goes down.
Yeah, they're actually going to be backing off. They don't want to make that push through to A. Looks like they're going to be trying to sneakily make their way to B, but I'm pretty sure that the Nighthawks are going to be privy to their move here. They are already sending players over there, but Viper holding that long angle, just waiting patiently, and just getting the perfect shot there on that angle with the Bulldog to start. The Viper wall also with a great angle on it to see in case anybody decided they wanted to try and peek through. Just an absolutely masterclass right here of the Viper utility that you're seeing here, and just almost keeping an entire 5-man squad, make that 4 though, all at bay while they try to push onto the site. So here comes now the remaining 3, and luckily able to get one more frag in their favor. Reach utilizing that eco maneuver right there and doing just a nice play to kind of give them what they can and hopefully throw them off while they rotate back towards this A site, but with only 2 players left. The numbers are going to come back, and they only have about 10 seconds remaining to get this plant. They have to get aggressive now. They're going to hear the plant coming in, and here come the engagements right away as they come around the corner for the angles. Baker just wiping the floor with one spray of the Spectre and opening the door for Hakoroku to get that defuse.
Yeah, they did get the bomb plant down. So, you know, money in the bank, money in the back pockets. They take one down with them, but unfortunately for them, the only player they managed to kill off is the one with just a frenzy. And so not exactly a lot of economic damage being done on that round. But hey, a bomb plant is still a bomb plant. You're happy to take that, considering you only came into the round with classics. And now full buys all around the board. You got plenty of Vandals coming out. I shouldn't say all around the board, though, as it is only the side of the Blazers that actually get to pick up their rifles. But they are looking to fight back here. I mean, they dropped the first 2 rounds that you saw that happen last game, and you don't want a repeat of what happened last game. I think we all know that if you're the Blazers. And so they're going to try and regroup here, reassess the situation with their upgraded weaponry, with their advantage in weaponry. Maybe they can really put their foot down here.
On this attack here, the A site, again, going to be poked at a little bit. They just want to try and get what information that they can. They are making those slow peaks. You don't see the normal push as of yet. They're actually trying to take a slower angle here. And I don't suspect that they think there's going to be 2 players there. They might be just trying to make the push with the Sage Wall and hopefully getting that advantage over. But the move that they're making right now is actually the right one, I'd say. They're being really slow and methodical here before they make a decision. And if they knew how they were spread out right now, you bet they would definitely make the move sooner than later. With the recon bolt coming in there, I think that is going to be all the intel that they need to finally push forward. They do get onto the site, and now remaining players here for Nighthawks are going to have to come back around. The Sova helping out again on the Blazers on that recon drone to try and get more information to see where the angle comes in for where they shot the drone. Very nice idea for them to try and get a nice leg up on them, but the Nighthawks come in and get all of the kills possible as they first storm onto the site, but Green holds it down and with full confidence keeps that angle in the corner for the 3-piece.
Green is a dirty, dirty boy. Those headshots were despicable. How did he hold that angle? So much confidence in the way he steps. And you can just tell in his aim, in his pre-fires, in his crosshair placement. He's got all the confidence in the world, and he is letting them know about it. John Wood has a great leader in Green, and he is trying to bring them back into this game. 420 is the kill score. All those out there, haha, it is the funny number. But there is nothing funny about how he was able to play that site. He destroys all comers. As I say that already, he's taken some fights for himself and forcing that guy Cap all the way back into the B site.
how they started over towards that mid, but now they're solidified in making this take on A. So as they do have a nice turret to watch their back here for the flank, that's going to be a huge help now, as they don't need to worry about anybody coming from behind as of yet. They're still going to hold every angle they can before they move on to the site. They do have Sage all the way in the back, playing that back line. And they're just waiting out a little bit longer to see if more utilities do come into play. And also being patient, making sure that nobody is seen as of yet. Oh, but a nice little jumping move there. Reach getting some info, but also I believe the Sage as well getting that same idea. They're still holding back, and I believe they made the choice. They're going to try and cycle their way over to B. The Viper going to be over there holding down solo for now, but the Ray is also going to be right next to her and try and spread out a bit on this angle to hopefully catch a nice crossfire with only a few seconds remaining until they do make that play. They did get a trade-off in the process, and Green still alive. That is not going to bode well, as he did start to get that heal up. Going to push around onto the site. Godwa holding down on that Marshall to see if he can just clean somebody up before getting a few more steps forward onto the site. And he brings Reach back into the game, and it's going to be very helpful if they decide to get this site or make that rotation back. But again, with that guy Cap still running the entire table right now, as he does so well in that corner. But again, they're still not getting back. They're still not giving up here. With the plant coming down, they have to keep them at bay while they try and get the defuse taps in. They're going for the distractions, and Godwa getting the final kill to leave the door open for the defuse to finally come into play. What patience there, man.
Wow. That retake, despite it just being a game of inches, they were waiting on the other side of the same doorway. It just takes so long. Every player just exercising great patience there, great usages of the utility, the smokes cutting vision off. And that was just slow and methodical from both sides. I love to see that kind of strategic play come out. And it came down to the wire there. If that last planter wasn't able to get onto the bomb or gets removed from the bomb, I think we see a different outcome there. But they hold on the side of the Nighthawks. They don't give it back up, and they put themselves the 3-1 advantage, putting John Wood back on economic despair. Just a few pistols, the lone rifle onto Green. If there is anyone that can carry this round through for you, it is going to be Green with the Vandal. He's been consistent in finding opening picks and headshots alike. But I say consistent, I mean he has been the only one finding any opening picks / headshots for you to start off the round. Already the blind going out, going to try and open up some space for the team. But that one's quickly getting shot to bits before it can actually come into effect. And so no more Leers left in the kit for Green. Instead, he's just going to be holding the angle up against Airy. Out goes Airy, but out goes the headshot, and Green gets popped as he tries to contest with the man of the hour. Not going to happen this time, as Reach, he's just jiggling around with the Sheriff. Can they recover the Vandal off the body? That's the question here. Looks like Fenrir will be the one to pick that one up, assumes the mantle. Start to come out. 2 players being spotted. Some spam through the wall. Not going to tag up much. That's a long cooldown that they no longer have to work with. 38 seconds left in the round. They can't afford to just sit around and do nothing. Dakai Cap already so far pushed up, rotating out towards B. It's an option, but I don't know if it's going to be a very fruitful one, as there are off angles galore. Jawa already pushed back up towards Kitchen. He can respond to this at a moment's notice. A headshot. That's already the first. Hokuriku gets a second for himself. At 15 HP, he's going for even more. That's a bit risky, my friend. But 15 seconds left in the round. I don't think you're going to be getting onto the side at this point. Fenrir goes running for the hills, but there are still players swarming all in around, and the footsteps should be everywhere as he gets around the corner. It's Baker to shut him down along with the round. That's 4 with a flawless victory for the Nighthawks.
Another great play there by Hokuriku. With that center play, they really were trying for the side of the Blazers to make that attempt to make a run on the final moments to the opposing side to hopefully catch their team completely off guard. But Hokuriku just in the place he needed to be at the right time. They were planning to put the Sage Wall down, but he catches 2 frags before they can even get their setup properly in tow, and shutting down the entire attempt right there. A nice setup here so far with that guy Cap, the only person on B getting the info they needed after Reach sending in the Aldrone. So it looks like already that is going to be the players for the Nighthawks moving back onto that B site. Everybody now out in the open here as the engagements are coming in much earlier than we have been seeing so far on this map. They are getting much more aggressive now, but the spike gets put down right before it gets planted. It is going to be up for grabs here, and it is not looking good here for the Blazers off the rip.
Reach able to fight back with a kill of his own onto Jawa, though. It's going to make it a 3v4, but low HP in the Brimstone makes this that much harder, especially because the bomb hasn't been planted. That's the big difference maker, is they can't reach it anymore. Fenrir tries to be the man to step out into the open, but Airy makes quick work of him, and now they're checking the flank just to make sure there are no players that can hit them where they least expect it. Little do they realize they're both just pinned behind yellow, and they're not giving them the duels they want. They're not giving them the space to work with. As I say that though, Airy, he gets himself caught out with his hand to the cookie jar. Reach, he'll get 2 for himself. Doubles up to make it a doable round yet again. Do they expect the second player here? Twisterman has just been sitting behind yellow for so long, not making a lot of noise. And so maybe they actually look over their shoulders. Maybe they feel that insecurity about a potential flank. 20 seconds left in the round. They're taking their sweet time to try and retrieve this bomb, and out on the other side of the smoke, this could get messy. Oh, the players are waiting oh so close by, and as the smoke wall goes back up, Baker decides not to swing around the corner, doesn't want to give up his own life. Oh, the bomb goes down. It's the shots that have to be found. That guy, Cap, starts it off right, and he is siphoning off Reach. He can't look at the bomb planter because he's got this Viper chomping at the bits. Halfway goes the bomb. Baker, he will get jiggled to ensure that he can't stick this one. Oh, and look at that arrow. Perfectly done, but he peeks out too early. He didn't actually have to tap the bomb. Reach gets himself caught out in an unnecessary duel, and that's going to be the 5th round on the board as Baker holds firm.
Baker really coming into form here, playing the Sage mostly and playing that conservative role, playing that support the best way that he possibly can on the last map and this map, being the front runner, being the aggressor, and not something that you really want if you're playing against a Sage that is this insane. He's already leading the team to start off in the first half of this game, but obviously we have a long way to go here, and it is going to be very telling how Blazers are going to be able to respond to this. The Nighthawks now on the site on B. I mean, what are you actually thinking, Tristan? As far as what we've seen so far, the composition changes here so far for the Blazers. Obviously, only on attack here, but hasn't been too favorable yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just these shots that they're hitting. They're insane. Airy is just picking people apart right now as we see another swing out from Green, trying to remove Airy from this Raptors position that he has been such a nuisance on, and they are just winning out the aim duels, plain and simple. That last round was a bit of utility involved, and that's the risk that you run when you try to plant shallow B as of last round. You could actually end up getting picked off by all the AoE that the opposite composition has to offer. A nice little arrow into the back corner will spot out Airy here, force him out into a spot where he could be shut down, but instead Airy is just hitting all of his shots. He is hitting all the enemy team, and he is taking them down. 4 kills on the round.
Airy having these huge rounds coming out of the woodwork here, and again with him just regaining control of that top spot, being the lead fragger, it is going to be hard, and really trying to fight against how well he's been not just playing with his gun, but man, the utility has been also creating such an AoE effect that's been keeping everybody at bay. And with Icebox, it is going to be such a great idea for anybody that is trying to build a composition on a map like this. Raze is one of the first players you have to keep in mind, just because of the amount of chaos that you can just straight up create on any of these pushes. It's so much harder here for these teams to try and adapt with how unpredictable this can be. And now as they do start to come onto the B side here, Green leading the way with the first blood, it's going to help them try and make a choice here. And that choice is going to be rotating back towards the A site with a nice bait play. They're still wondering where the rest of them are. They do have a few seconds now with nobody on the site. Let's see how they can play this.
That's one of the great things about Reyna. She's able to use that dismiss to get around the corner back to her teammates who have the heals at ready. 100 HP yet again as we see the Killjoy using that lockdown to try and get them back towards a worse for wear position. Not able to defend the bomb as much, and with 3 seconds left they can't destroy it, and so they're just gonna need to back off, play for the second half of the take. Instead, that was actually the attacker Killjoy, and so that actually ends up buying them more time to get that bomb down and wait for the retake to come in themselves. They can just post up for these positions. Jawa goes for a bit of information, immediately shot towards the back of the head, and so he can only hear the shots ring out, can't actually establish where the players are. Twister, man, he is at a really strange position here. I'm assuming this is some kind of Molly lineup he has waiting. First player removed is Green, able to get one for himself. Good for the first at the least. Meteor Strike to come out, delay the defusal for just a little bit longer, but that like a cap from the top rope, able to dunk down onto one. It's 3 for Jawa so far, but this bomb already too far gone. They have no chance of defusing it, and that's the second going over for John Wood, as they just simply use the utility to the maximum effect, and they keep that bomb ticking all the way through.
Tristan, this next round is probably the most important of this opening half, I think. Because if we do have another round win in a row here for Blazers, they're going to really start to build more of this momentum, really help out and damage that economy as well for the Nighthawks. And as we're getting closer to the half, these are the rounds that are really crucial, because as we saw on the previous map, it's definitely going to be hard to come back from that huge deficit, regardless of how well or how favorable the map might be to one specific side. They definitely have to do what they can to keep themselves as close as possible here, and also looking ahead with the opening first blood here by Fenrir, setting the stage now for them to just waltz onto the A site after the recon bolt to give them the remaining intel, scaring off the Sage. Green gonna now send himself up in front with no fear and hopefully have his teammates get possession of that site and plant that bomb, which they perfectly do. And now it's going to be up to this remaining amount of Nighthawks players right here for this retake. They do have to fight off a bit of utility as well, as they did do a great job saving before they actually got the plant down. But you can see them all running scared from Airy, from that showstopper, and does not look up at the off angle. He catches him off guard. Reach and Andy are getting the double kill back to back here to really force them to make the play here or go for the defuse. I don't think they're going to be able to do so. The shots are all over the place. They're taking every possible angle they can and doing it perfectly, and that is going to do it as well. They wipe the floor with all the remaining players, and that is going to be a great advantage for them.
And it came down to the last man. That looks scary because Green actually ends up overextending into Baker. Baker gets the kill, and with that, he actually nets himself the ultimate, able to res one, give him the man advantage going into that retake. But it was beautiful from Reach, the hero, shutting down the showstopper that really could have caused them issues. It could have either at least killed one, even tagged up more. It could have been a collateral. Yeah, I mean, you never know with that rocket launcher coming out into the hands of Airy. But man, Reach just peaks at the right timing. He hits the headshot clean as a whistle. And they're able to pull through another round. And this is starting to stack up. I mean, this is much like Split, where the defensive side will have the advantage going into it. And I mean, if you're just able to put up a good amount of rounds going into that second half, you should feel very good about yourself. Because it is much easier on the defense than it is attacking. It isn't as bad as Split per se, but it's still there nonetheless. That bias, that ease of access, as we see the Hunter's Fury coming out. Airy, he's put on his dancing shoes and he manages to avoid all 3 shots. That was some fancy footwork there, as Jawa, other side of the map, he's able to open up mid with a pick onto Green. Green just taking the 1v1, mano a mano.
The Viper,
Jawa showing why they call him Godwa.
This is such a good angle here. That guy Cap is suspecting they are tired of having this bait and having them rotate. He's moving all the way up, just about into their spawn, waiting to see if they do make that play again. And I think he hears the footsteps. He's backing up just out of sight to make sure he doesn't get overwhelmed. But instead, it's not going to be towards B. They are making the play towards A, but I don't know if they suspect the Viper behind them there. So let's see if he can move quick enough to get behind them on the flank as they're getting set up to make this plant.
Stalling is the name of the game. As Reach, he is able to accelerate the pace just a little bit further, but Hokuriko around the wall, he's got 3. He doesn't need them to line up. He'll hit him through anything. There's nothing stopping Hokuriko from preventing this push from coming in, and the flank not even needed from that guy Cap, because there is a certain Phoenix on the map.
That guy Cap coming onto the A site said, hey guys, what did I miss? Amazing play by Hokuriko there. Just a beautiful, another multi-kill again to his name in this series. He is really just the human highlight reel that we've been seeing so far. And as you would expect here, just dominating him and getting that angle. When you have the Sage Wall drop down, you don't expect that little crack to really be such a huge nail in your coffin on that push.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have expected it. Hokuriko, I can't believe that worked out so well for him. Still, I thought it was more of a one and done position where once they establish where you are, you're pretty much dead to rights. But instead, he just stands there, he fires away, and he takes everyone down. As that guy Cap, he's playing much more conservatively this time around, and he should have seen the op barrel sticking out from reach. So he realizes that he can't sit here for too long. It wasn't actually an op; it was a rifle that looks suspiciously like an op in my eyes. My apologies there. The wall goes out, gonna section off this site. Now the paranoia is available for Jawa, but he can't really follow up on it himself. It's up to his teammates, but instead he gets caught with the paranoia in his hands. Reach can't connect the shots though, and he ends up going down, forking over the man advantage before the bomb can even get planted. And this is the difficulty when you're on this B site. There are players, they have paint shells on the ready. You have to take the duels at one point or another, and Green is the man to do it. He's got the first for himself, but can't get the overheal because he had to use that dismiss to get himself back to safety because Airy was ready to trade. Instead, all the teams just taking a bit more time to reposition themselves. Maybe the possible move back towards A because they never got that bomb plan down. Twisterman on the front lines. He gets nailed by Hokuriku, who can put a stop to this push himself. The pre-fire is picture perfect. Green gets caught in a Kodak moment as we see two members still trying to make it onto the A site, but Jawa has had plenty of time to walk himself on over, and he's got one lined up. He'll get the headshot. 12 seconds on the round in a 1v3. Fenrir has to get the bomb plant down, and by then they are all over him. Spam through the wall will take him down to around half HP. He'll get one headshot before Airy, ever so quick, does not allow him any lease of life. It is 8 rounds on the board for the Nighthawks as they steamroll ahead.
Hokuriku in that center angle, closing it down when they do the rotation back through the spawn, catching one, and then as he's pre-firing the angle to just keep them at bay, the final bullet before he turns away happens to catch Green right in the dome piece, and just an amazing amount of timing. I wouldn't even call it luck. That is really just, it all comes down to your awareness and how well you're going to be able to keep that patience there, especially how he held the angle so well. I mean, coming down to that final bullet, every single one mattered in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you could call it a little bit of it, sure, you could chalk it up to luck, but he was doing that strategically. He wasn't just spamming that for no reason, hoping for someone to run into his crosshair. He was trying to buy time for his team to move over, just keeping them busy, making sure they can't get across safely. And when they try and cross safely, when they try and just take the gamble to get across his spam, it doesn't work out for them. The last bullet in the clip flies true, and it will find the head of one. As I say that, though, already the man advantage going over to the Nighthawks this time around at 8-3. The pressure is starting to mount here for John Wood.
Huge disadvantage to start off this round, using or losing that extra vision that you would gain from the Sova. They don't have the Sage either, or excuse me, they do have the Sage to bring him back into the game if they choose to, but they're going to be very patient on this one and kind of hold it down for now. With the lockdown coming into play, they're going to have to retreat. A very nicely timed lockdown, I might add. Delaying the drop, and look at Hokuriku again. Not to mention Hokuriku's clone getting the double kill. Now he is still on the playing field here. Green coming back into the play after the res coming out. Right now, though, they have to push themselves through, only with 30 seconds on the clock here. Everybody getting very aggressive. They do have the Sage wall down, and it's only going to work momentarily. That guy Cap using the Odin to blast his way through and open up the choke point to hopefully add on the final kill here. Let's see if Andy's going to be able to survive. He cannot hang with that angle, and that is going to be Dakai Cap getting his 3-piece for the round as well.
Oh, and that paranoia from Jawa actually saves Hokuriku, who was caught in the lockdown. He gets detained. He had his hands. He was staring at his hands for the half the round, it felt like. But Jawa's paranoia prevents the push from Twisterman to capitalize on the players stunned up, and that actually helps out to let Hokuriku get his gun back in his hands, and he ends up getting a 3K as a result of it. And so the unsung hero of the round, and there are just so many little bits of information, little butterfly effect moments that could have gone back and forth to secure either team the round, but it's just the Hawks being that much more consistent, that much better at the team play, and John Wood is coming up short seemingly every time it comes down to these clutch scenarios.
Starting off this second half, I wonder how many rounds are going to separate them if they're going to just steamroll ahead with the lead and now on the attacking side. They do start off, though, on the much tougher A side here to try and push their way in, and they do successfully already very quick in the opening seconds here to get themselves cleanly onto the site with nearly next to no pressure from the opposition. But now as they do set up for the retake here, man, this is going to be very difficult for the Blazers to get in down a man as well. And they're all funneled into that northern side of the site. Do have them checking for the flanks, but they can push onto the site now and hopefully get set up for the defuse. They do have a slight strength in numbers here. Gabo getting the first kill, though, but getting traded off with Fenrir. He is going to hold that angle, though, through waiting for that Viper wall to drop here, with also getting the poison onto the spike and delaying it even longer. They do hold an angle to try and cover Andy, but they catch him anyway and get the remaining kills to get the round again in their favor in a beautiful way for them to start off this second half.
And man, oh man, John Wood is in a pickle here. Losing that first round is devastating. They have lost so many pistol rounds in this series. I believe at most they have one to their name. The Hawks have been just on a demolition derby whenever those pistols are brought out. And now John Wood, they're going to have a bit more time to practice with their pistols, because second round, they have to stick with the classics and they have to stick with a single sheriff on Fenrir. Even then, if he doesn't get a lot of kills with this sheriff, if they don't get a bomb plant, he may end up not actually being able to get full armor for the third round of the game, as we see Hokuriku already giving a little shoulder action there to Green, who is just jump spotting around the corner, able to line up a few shots for himself. Just some wiggling, back and forth they go. Green only with the classic working with. He doesn't actually decide to buy up here. Going full greed mode, as he just wants to have a full rifle for the third round of the game. Jawa instead trying to work some space out mid for its own. It's largely a default setup despite them having the weaponry advantage.
Looks like with that
dance in there.
Here. Yeah, actually, Reach is finally trying to get that information and deciding midpoint of the map, as they had so many of these pushes rotating through that middle section. He wanted to see if he caught anybody, but not able to do that, where they do make the push onto A. The Viper wall now going to be splitting these teams together here, and they're going to be funneling now towards the top corner and maybe get through that wall with a little bit of a leg up and getting the flash out as well. Still, everybody as close as they are with the wall going down. Here come the kills. Gabo getting the first two. Twister Man going to follow up, though, and get one for his side. Hokuriku, though, giving them an even bigger advantage now. One player remaining. Blazers just having Andy to go, and death from above. Airy just flying in with the satchel charge, and a nice cherry on top of that round as well.
Someone called an Airy 130, because man, that kill streak came into effect as from the skies. He goes dropping down, sprays him midair. They don't call him. He puts the air in Airy right now, because my man's got the Jordans on, getting the hops through. 11-3 now for the side of the Nighthawks, as Northern Virginia's own are having a great time just bulldozing through. Icebox, it doesn't matter what map pick you bring out, because they are ready for it all. As they use largely the same composition, they just find success with it everywhere they go. More dancing going on early on in this round as well. Fenrir, we'll see the head of Baker only for a moment. Catch a quick glimpse. As Green also working very far forward. Has a nice angle onto Belt. One that many players wouldn't expect. Many players, though, aren't Airy. Airy is of a different breed. As I say that, Green kind of hops up. Could put himself worse for wears. His body is more out in the open, but his teammate able to cover him. Ooh, if they try and pivot back towards A, they could be in for a nasty surprise. Green has a fantastic angle.
Being a little careful here, though. They had so many rounds in a row where those opening engagements, one player dropping almost immediately off the jump, so they want to make sure, at least both of these sides, especially for the side of Blazers, though, they cannot afford to be a man down on this next attack. They did favor the A site on that defending side, and only having a minimal amount of members here, but look at Fenrir blasting through the wall, trying to create as much damage as possible. There goes the spike getting planted. Viper getting out barely with just enough life. And now as they rotate back around on both sides here, the spike right in the center of both teams here. And Green is able to finally get another engagement back on the side of the Blazers here. But having to blast through the smokes, they're going to have to now get it. But they can't get that defuse stopped because of the Sage Wall as well. Andy using a perfect set of his utility there to drop that wall. They had no clue as they were blasting through the smoke that their bullets were absolutely doing nothing to help stop that defuse. A very nice way for them to try and get themselves back together here.
That is some great lineup work there as Fenrir tags up a few through the walls. They try and push out onto the B site. That is an interesting strategy, one that I haven't seen employed much at all. But I mean, hey, if it works, it works. It looked a little funny, but he got plenty of damage down, kept himself alive for the retake to come through, and it looks solid. They don't lose a single member on the side of John Wood. Maybe that's the readjustment they need if they want to bring themselves back into this game. But already Jawa, he realizes that Green, he hears those sound cues coming from the headshot angle. He wanted to find a piece of it for himself, but Green backing off wisely. He's going to get a bit of chip damage towards the head as he tries to move into the smoke. Airy just ready for him no matter where he goes, as we see more narrow margins being worked out for both teams. No one pushed up just yet, though, and so they're still kind of working on some guesswork here for the side of the Hawks, or for the side of the Blazers. My apologies. Dart to go out, but reach. I believe that actually ended up just missing. Hits the wall right above him. Hitbox kind of something he wasn't expecting there. That's more headshot angles. They know they're starting to learn the habits of some of these players on the side of the Hawks here. Is Green. He posts up. He'll get the first defense. Open things off with the headshot, but around the corner he is blinded up, taken down by Airy, who then Reach swings out just to make it a 1-for-1. A 2-for-1 if you count the initial kill. And with the man advantage, they are just taking their time, waiting for the teammates to come over, setting up the utility. They can't afford to lose this round. So instead, they will just play it with the utmost patience. They know the bomb just went down. They have plenty of time to work these positions over. From the shadows being used and the wall set up defensively, that guy Cap has a headshot, but Jawa gets around them. He completes the from the shadows, and he is teleported, but the bomb defusal still being stuck, and they get it in the end. Andy just standing there, knife out. He has done his job. He's won the round. Take his life. You will never take his freedom. And he has the 5th round on the board for John Wood.
That was extremely gutsy right there, holding that position. And they had just too many heads to try and click on there before they can try and get that kill honed in on that spike defuse. Very nice way for them to move in here onto that site. With those tight corners, it's so much harder unless you have that full-on vision where you can try and make that stop. But as they look into the center now to try and lure somebody to pop their head up, Twisterman is the only person there to try and gain the information. He is definitely feeding down to his team with the smokes coming in on that attacking side to try and at least throw them off a bit more before they move on forward.
Ooh, and Green is so far forward here. Does he decide to loop around the corner? Airy already wise to it.
Oh, man.
Considering every possibility, but Hork may not be the same story. There's no way they check this corner. He's got one, gets the dismiss, tries to get around the corner, but he's already being drove forward. Can't get those bunny hops. You can't just drop off the corner there. You have to keep the bunny hops going to keep your momentum forward. Otherwise, you're going to slow down and they can chase you all the way through. And so mechanics not quite there in that situation. Maybe wasn't even thinking about it. Already you see the kills being traded back and forth, but the man advantage still over for John Wood. Has the bomb attempting to go down, but Twister Man, he's got a great position for himself right over the Viper wall. He just gets a glimpse of the head, and he can take her down to delay the plant even further. Even takes down the wall along with it, but he's not expecting the immediate trade from Airy. And now in a 1v2 to prevent round 12 from coming through, Fenrir does have the lockdown. Tosses it on over, realizing that they don't have enough time to rotate back towards the other site, and that should buy a little bit of space, but they're able to make room. And so this Killjoy lockdown not really going to be a threat because they were planning to play these positions anyways. I mean, these are great post plans for them. They have the double angle if they want to peek at the same time. They can afford it. Instead, it's Airy. He'll take the initial contact, and he's got a 4K for himself. Airy is going absolutely nuclear in this grand finals. The man cannot be stopped.
Twister Man holding that higher position there on the catwalk, barely having enough height to look over the top of that Viper wall and stop them right before the plant came in. It was just a millisecond too late, and that was a big difference maker there as they finally get another round under their belt and only one round away from our championship being crowned right now as the walls come down. Fenrir holding down the angles for the op as they're waiting to see if that B push comes in. They have been favoring A for a lot of the time, but Green doing it again, moving up even farther and trying to start things off. But God, what, getting those 2 kills to retaliate here. And it's going to give another man advantage here for the Nighthawks. And it's going to be Airy again getting another kill, leading the charge and also leading in frags. The last match that we did cast between these teams as they fought their way through the semifinals. You did have them going up against Lackawanna College. Airy leaving that map with 27 kills to get themselves finalized here. And now as we look into this one going forward, you have him holding the charge and helping everybody get set up here, waiting for that final push. The Killjoy is the only one remaining, and they get shut down with Airy again, just doing work, ending things early. And that is going to be your victory here for Northern Virginia Nighthawks.
And Airy is a menace to society. When he has a Vandal in his hand, he transforms into the Vandal Vagabond, and he just leads them into the site with such impressive performances throughout the entire series, throughout the entire tournament. Last week, we were seeing him pop off that in those matches alone. This week, he brings that same energy with 23 kills, 9 deaths in that last map. Neither of these maps were their picks. They didn't have as much preparation as John would, and yet they still fragged themselves out. All the agents that you want to see going big, they managed to do so. It's Airy popping off. Hokuriku picks the Phoenix, and he comes up with so many clutch plays for himself. There are just moments where he comes alive and he takes over the round all by himself. Everyone with fantastic performances all around to take down John Wood. The first map was 13-5. The second one was a repeat of that, 13-5. The final kill score all around, and these Nighthawks are vicious. They are the top of the food chain this time around, and it looks like John Wood, the Blazers, with nothing more than just prey they saw coming a mile away.
Could not have said it better myself, Tristan. That was an amazing display that we saw after going against your team that would be number 1 seeded, looking so damn good as they do it. A lot of the plays that they brought together on the early portions of the first half of both maps, they worked out so well, and it built them all of the momentum that they needed to really finish off these maps strong, because really leading the way and starting off that much, it made things so much easier for them to move forward and have that confidence. So it really did give them a leg up, especially on a map like Icebox, where you did mention a lot of players don't really particularly like it, don't really have a lot of practice time on it, or even games at all. So really, if you have 2 teams coming against each other, it's exciting because you don't really know what to expect when the strategies come into play here for this kind of a map. And we just saw a repeat of what we did see earlier today, and that is the Northern Virginia Nighthawks doing it wonderfully and winning this entire event.
Yeah, and so with that, I mean, that's going to bring our series to a close, but we still have an interview coming up as well as the winner's ceremony. And so you do not want to be moving off of your seats. Do not change the channel, the Twitch channel, whatever you want to call it. We will be back in a moment with much more fun and an interview from one of the members of the winning team from the Nighthawks. Stay tuned. One moment. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are here after a fantastic best of 3 series. It was the Nighthawks taking a wonderful win 2-0 versus our first seed in the tournament, John Wood Blazers. We're here joined by Airy and Trooper as well. Welcome to the desk, guys. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good. Thanks.
Absolutely. It was a great match, and it was a pleasure to cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the questions I wanted to bring up first and foremost was that Icebox pick. Now, not a lot of Icebox was played during this tournament. It was heavily banned all the way through. We didn't actually get to cast any games personally, me and Trooper, up until that very last of the series. Now, were you guys thrown off at all by that Icebox coming out for game 2, or was it something that you guys had planned ahead of time?
I think Icebox would be our best map, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so when we had an Icebox pick, we just went in there confidently. Um, yeah, because we won a couple other tournaments on Icebox, just being the last map. So as a team, we practiced and we know what to do on that map. So it wasn't really. It was a good pick for us. We felt good going in.
I
Yeah,
think
you
that's a
guys
great
look
choice
like it.
too.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
a lot of teams don't practice that map, so it's for the most part they really try not to. And maybe it's their first ban, so it's great to see that you guys are putting in that work. And I'm actually curious if your composition changes. They didn't really there wasn't much alteration over the course of the series. So is that like a go-to strategy as far as your lineup that you guys had, or was that something that you just felt happened to work perfectly on a map like Icebox?
Well, we always have like a standard team comp. You notice it within all of our games. We just have the consistent. We barely make any changes. But should we start losing horribly, or there's rounds being lost that shouldn't be lost, we start making changes there. But if it works, we just don't make any changes. So just keep it consistent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a great policy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, the one thing I also wanted to kind of piggyback off of that question from Trooper is the lack of change from the composition of the Nighthawks. And one thing I wanted to ask you personally is a question I have about Raze, because we've seen Raze a lot of deliberation about the agent. Where is she viable? Where can she actually be played? Is she terrible on some of these more spacey maps like Icebox? Now, for you personally, is it Raze a pick that you feel like can go on any map competitively viable no matter what the level? Or is that something you just feel like you're personally skilled enough on that you could make her work despite her technically being at more of a disadvantage depending on the map?
To be honest, I think I'm actually trash at Raze. Like I cannot do blast packs properly to fly in the sky and get on site. Like every once in a blue moon maybe. Um, and Raze is something I'm definitely not comfortable with. But to answer your question, if it's a big map like Icebox or Breeze, I feel like it'd just be horrible because that boom bot, the grenades, there's just so much space to predict where it's going to go to shoot the Raze bot. Um, and actually, I don't even like playing Raze. If I had to pick my own agent, it'd be like Sage or Cypher, something like that.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Blink twice if you're being held hostage by the coaches, forcing you to pick that raise up. But yeah, I definitely respect that you guys are able to make it work no matter the situation. Winning with the raise on Icebox, that's a statement, if anything.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a little difficult. There are a couple fights where I just throw a raise bot and I just know for a fact it's gonna shoot it. It's hard, but I made it work. And my team, they're amazing. John Wood's an amazing team too. Uh, I just felt like as a team, as a Nova team, we just came together when it mattered.
Absolutely, that definitely shows for what we've seen in this event, and it kind of leads into my last question for you. Where, what are the next steps with the squad? Is there anything that you guys have planned as far as next competition, or where can we guys at least follow you guys on your next journey here?
Um, Personally, I'm done after this because this is my last semester at Nova. I'm going to transfer out to another university. Um, but I can't speak for the others because I'm not sure how they're going to stand within their classes and what their future plans is. Doing esports. I might continue within my university. I might not, but the entire time I was at Nova, I had so much fun, and it was just such a great experience. And to win all these tournaments, to make friends with my team, I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Great, that sounds awesome, man.
Yeah, and with that,
Anything else,
thank you
Trish?
so much for joining us on the desk. I had a great time being able to cast these games and to talk to you, indulge you and get into your mind a little bit when it came to the winning team of this tournament, because you guys just looked fantastic through and through. And I hope you guys had a lot of fun playing in this tournament as we did casting it. So that being said, thank you all. over at home for watching this, enjoying this fantastic series and tournament with us. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to be heading to a short break, but when we're back, it will be the winner's ceremony, and we will have a lot more fun and action planned out for you. Thank you so much for being here. This will be Tristan and Trooper signing off. Troopers, anything you want to shout out before we're off? You too, Ari. This is your chance.
Can I go first?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Just anyone who's ever supported the Nova Esports, not even just Valorant, just anyone who just supported the organization. Shout out to my friends Kalat, Joseph, Daniel, John, and Jared. Those are my teammates. Every one of them played to their strongest. With all the bonds that we played over the past couple semesters, and anyone that ever supported us, just want to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a blast this entire weekend casting. It has been a pleasure, and it was very nice to talk to you, Ari, and wish you best of luck in your next path here.
Thank you.
And with that, that'll be it for us. We'll be tossing it over to a quick break, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll be right back.